You know, these ultra-Orthodox Jews, they all look the same. They're all black and white or gray. They all look the same, they all sound the same, they all do the same thing. Is that what the Jewish nation is supposed to be like? Where's the creativity? Where's the uniqueness of the individual? The parashas we're reading are from the book of Numbers. Chumash HaPekudim, Bamidbar is called. It's the Chumash of counting. We're counted and counted over and over again. Which is a bit surprising. Because in Kisiso we read that we're not supposed to count Jews. Counting Jews is not a good thing. What you do is they give their half shekels, you can count the half shekels. They did a census years ago in Israel. So the rabbinate was left with the problem, how do you take a census in a country where observant Jews cannot take part in it? They had to find ways of how can we count something that will let us know how many people there are without counting people. So what's going on here? We are to be counted, we're not to be counted. The Haftorah of last week, we had Shavuos in between, but the Haftorah of last week began. V'hayam mispar b'nei Yisrael, the number of Jews. What is that going to be? Asher lo yisafer v'lo yimaneh, something that cannot be counted. And the obvious question is, so what makes it a number? If it's going to be so big that you can't count it, so why is that a number? If it's beyond number, then why is it called a number? It sounds like we've got a number, we don't have a number. What's the secret? Everyone talks about not wanting to be a number. It's an awful thing to treat people, to relate to them as numbers. The Nazis, in their attempt to dehumanize Jews, branded them the way you number animals. A number means you're not an individual. A number means you're not unique. You know, when you have a herd of cattle, you don't name them. You got one cow, you can call her Elsie. You got a herd of cattle, the numbers. So what are Jews? Are we numbers or are we not? And the answer is we're both and we're neither. Of course, the Jew is not a number. Every Jew has a soul. He's got a soul that's unique. He's got a brain that's unique. He's got a personality that's unique. And that's when he gets into the world. Certainly, every one of his experiences, his personal experiences, are going to help shape who he is and how he thinks. His morals, his ethics, his values, even his aesthetic appreciations. Everyone's an individual. But at the same time, every Jew feels like he's part of the Jewish nation. And he's got to be able to see himself as there in the service of our people. Numbers mean name, rank, serial number. You remember the army. Every one of us is an individual and part of the mass of the Jewish people in determining our future, in choosing our paths. Yes, we're unique. Every one of us is unique. But we've got to use our uniqueness in service of the Jewish people. Yes, there are a number of Jews. We've got a number, but don't count it. It's not a countable number. Because we're not made up of brand X. We're made up of individuals, each of whom is a olam maleh, a full world. In this week's Parsha, this is the longest Parsha. Brace yourselves. This is the longest Parsha. Parshat Naso is the longest. And towards the end it gets boring. Because it's repetitious. It's repetitious. Every one of the Nisim, the head of each tribe, of each Shevet, brought his korban for the Chanukas HaMizbeach, and every single offering was the same as every other one. Every day it was the same collection of korbanos. And the Torah goes through it in detail, day after day. Even the tamim, even the notes, the music, it's sung the same way, every single one of them. It's repetitious. We know there are no extra words in the Torah, no extra letters. Why the repetition? So you open your medrash. And the medrash in this week's parsha is very, very long. Part of what makes it long is because it goes into each one of the Nisim and what he had in mind in his sacrifices. What he was bringing and how many. Even though it was the same as everybody else's, it's a whole different story. Every one of them was coming from somewhere else. Looked the same, smelled the same. Every one of them was a whole different story. The inner meaning of every single korban, of every nasi, was totally different than the next one. You know why? When you have very little to say for yourself, and you want to declare your individuality, you've got to do it in a superficial way. And that's where your clothes become a big deal. I've got to be a nonconformist. I've got to be different. When your whole being is unique, when your whole being is full of creativity, your relationship with Hashem, your interaction with others, your way of understanding situations in life, when yours is unique because you use your brains, because you think, because you analyze every word of Torah with your mind, your heart, your personality, and your experiences. There's no need to go display your uniqueness with what you wear. Traditionally, it was women that all dressed differently. That would be awful, telling every woman she's got to look like everybody else. In fact, in Yerushalayim, where the Beis Yaakov system insists on uniforms, the old school people don't subscribe to that. The good old Yerushalmi, generations of Yerushalmi Jews, in their institutions for women, the girls dress any way they want to, obviously within within the realm of acceptability, but no one tells them what colors to wear. Men, yeah, everyone looks the same. You got to make a point and be different. That's where you're making your point of being different. That's what it's about. I'm not telling you to all go black and white. There are more important things in life to think about. In fact, that's the message. That's the message. The message is don't think about it. The message is make sure that when it comes to what counts, you're not just doing what everybody else is doing. Make sure that when it comes to real meaning, when it comes to values, that you arrive at decisions using your brains. And then find your place in the Jewish nation. Take the talents that you've been blessed with and use them for the Jewish nation. None of us received gifts from heaven for our own use only. Every bit of talent, every bit of creativity, certainly every bit of passion has to be dedicated to the future of the Jewish nation. So every Jew is a number. We're part of an army. And we could even look that way. But no Jew is a number. Every Jew is a world unto himself. Be an individual. Think like an individual. Make demands on yourself that everything you do makes sense and sits well with you. Using the brain that Hashem gave you in service of the Jewish nation. And don't make a big deal about everything superficial. Because that's not what it's all about. Jews are not just follow the leader. Superficially, sure. Jews think and challenge. Our favorite pastime is arguing. Someone gives a class, don't just sit there and enjoy it. The way everybody has grown in the world of the yeshivas is by not letting their rabbeim live, by driving them crazy, by catching every internal inconsistency. Yeah, if that makes sense, so how does this make sense? You got to use your brains and not just accept. And be creative. That's all internal. Externally, you're part of the nation. You're part of an army. And make sure to dedicate all the greatness that you achieve to the Jewish nation. Every Jew is great. There are no exceptions. And every Jew is different, there are no exceptions. But we don't have to look different. And we do all have to work together.